So in wake of, the political climate, this movie V for Vendetta coming out, I want to say this. I have changed my mind in all this direction about what I wanted to speak about and what my channel is about and this, that, and the third. And I've always known what my channel is about. I stand for self-development, art, because I'm going to show you what happened to me as a result of me finding out who I am. I've always been an artist. And art for you as well, because art is important. And community, right? So those are my pillars. That's what I stand on. But now being said, let me talk to you, address to you what this video is about. This video is about the understanding that I have gone through of why those things are important. And we see what's going on. It's always been something going on in the world, but we see what's going on, right? 42 million people without food stamps and things like that. And I have been affected. My household has been affected too, to be truthful and be honest. But the reality is this, y'all. There is an answer to all that we see. This is why the importance of self-development is important, right? And I'm not encouraging you to do anything that I have not undergone myself. I don't know how many times, or if you've gone back to see any of my videos, where I've expressed to y'all that I have been on a 13-year journey, right? I left a job in corrections 2014. So that's almost 11 years. But actually my transformation began with, after my brother passed away. My youngest brother, Storm, passed away November the 28th. It'll be 13 years officially this month. 32 years age. He passed away from intestinal or stomach cancer, something like that. And his passing single-handedly just sent me into not an existential crisis, but it sent me into myself and the journey into find out what my purpose is. And it took me a long time, and I really found out who I am and what's important to me, right? And these things that I talk about, self-development, art, and community, are all important to me. Why are they important to me? Because first of all, the reality is this: self-development is what allows for the artist to even express themselves, and then the artist expressing themselves is allowed, and the self-development allows for the artist to show up, and also for the whole person to show up, to be able to thrive in a and to add on to a community, right? You can have a community, but we don't want to live in an effective one. So that being said, which is why I focus on in my works the self, because what are we going to do in this climate? We see what's going on, right? We see what this administration is doing. We don't like it, but we're going to do what, y'all? We're going to work so hard to get rid of this administration. To do what are we going to do when we haven't developed ourselves? So that's why I said before, and I'm going to continuously say it: stop focusing. It's not about Donald Trump. It's not about him. That man is a mirror for us. He is a mirror for us. He's a mirror to show us to ourselves. The fact that we live in communities and we can't speak to one another, or we know, we're not sure to speak to this person, or that person speak to us, or this, that, and the third. We're not sure because we don't know what it is to be in community with one another. Well, this is forcing us to be in community. Because the reality is that we shouldn't have to rely on the government to feed us for anything when we have a community. And that's the truth. But how can we really have a community when there's a level of dishonesty that exists in us as individuals, as people? So the self-development is where the emphasis has to be placed. We love to talk about, external problems, but the internal problems are reflection. The external problems are a reflection of what's going on internally inside of us. The breakdown of communications and community is a direct display of what's going on inside of us as individuals. We should not have to call the government when we need something to eat, right? The community is an extension of immediate family, right? So in this administration, what I beg that we take away from this, even the re-release of, as I'm talking about, V for Vendetta, and I'm excited from it, you can't have the success of a community or anything that involves working with other people without development of the self. You have to develop the self. You don't know how to get along with people, then tearing down the government is not going to help us. Not in this time, y'all. We have to have real community. And I know it scared a lot of people. I didn't read the book, but The Parable of the Sower by Octavia Butler scared a lot of people, but that's the times that we coming in, y'all. It's going to have to be that way. It is. It's going to be that way. And I'm not saying this to scare the shit out of people just to scare you, but I'm saying that because now we're going to see, what is it? The wheat separated from, what is it? The shaft? Who's who and what's what. See, when you live a certain way, sometimes you can conceal yourself behind certain communities. Well, in these times, you're not going to be able to do that. It's going to be about what you know, but also who you know as well. Because the kingdoms are being divided. The communities are being divided. And that's what's happening right now. So so our deeds or our personal development is going to determine what community we're going to be in. Right? Are we really an asset, and are we really a resource to whatever community we choose to be in? But it does no good for someone to have a whole bunch of resources, to be knowledgeable about something, when you're around a bunch of people that don't have any resources and don't have a desire to develop themselves. That's a dangerous thing to be in. And these are the times that that's been exposed. So I will always encourage, because of my own personal journey, personal development, right? You cannot know the truth for someone else, and then when it comes to you all of a sudden forget what's right and what's wrong. That's hypocrisy. And see, if we already existed in hypocrisy, and we make excuses for ourselves and make excuses for our shortcomings, then that means that we're going to take that same attitude into these new communities. And that's where you're going to have anarchy. You're going to still have corruption. You're still going to have bedlam. You're still going to have confusion. It's still going to be there. So what's the point of saying no more police state when we don't even know how to police ourselves? It's still going to be anarchy. It's still going to be chaos because we have not done the work that is necessary on ourselves. We have to do the work on ourselves. Wherever we go, that's where we are. That's where we're going to take ourselves. So this is why the spiritual development is important. This is why the personal development is important. It's not about talking it. You have to be it. You can't know that something is unfair when someone else is doing it, and then when you're doing it, you're making excuses for it. No. It's about personal conviction. And see, if we convict ourselves, it wouldn't sting as much when somebody else calls out our when someone else calls out our nonsense. It wouldn't offend us so much. But it offends us because, let's just be honest, we don't like looking at ourselves. We don't like looking at ourselves. We don't like to see ourselves for what we actually are. So my encouragement is this. This is what has to happen. It has to be, our communities moving forward have to really be peer facilitated. And that's funny, my name is Peer. But the peer I'm talking about is P-E-E-R, peer facilitated. Because why? The governing of yourself. If you know what to do, shout out to Akala Tunde that said this, quote from Sister Akala Tunde. She's got to be Oshun, very intelligent sister. She says, one of her videos, responsible people do not need leaders. We don't. We don't need you to tell us what's right from wrong. And I don't say that in defiance. I'm saying because of the personal governance of ourselves. We govern ourselves. We know when we out of pocket. So when you say something to us, it's not, shooing you away. It's like, yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. You're right. You saw that too, right? Yeah, you're right. I need to get my together. So when we are aware of ourselves, that's why it's great that you're self-aware, but it can't stop at self-awareness. In order for us to develop these new communities, which we see, the image is falling down. It's falling down. But what's going to come in place of it? What's going to come in place of it? We working to look, it's naturally falling down because the awakening that's happening to people. So it's naturally falling down. But what are you going to have in place of what's falling down when what has to take place of what's falling down is something new, something that's better. But the better cannot happen if the people are not working on themselves. If we still doing this point the finger, we run the risk of becoming the very thing we point our fingers at. So we have to personally develop, see all the things that we've seen wrong, and now check them in ourselves and see if can you really live amongst people and really be and govern yourself. I self law am master. Yes, sovereignty. You have born with real spiritual sovereignty. But even in our sovereignty, we still can coexist. Why else would we be on this earth if we couldn't coexist with one another? See, when I talk, and in my own travels, I've realized that people are offended by the truth. We claim that that's what we want, but the reality is that the truth offends people. And this is why we are where we are now. Shout out to V for Vendetta. That's what I'm telling y'all. I know my conversation is go see that movie because he ain't said nothing but the damn truth. And all truth seekers say the same thing. It is our fault that we are right here, right now. This is why we right here. We are the problem, y'all. And if we are the problem, then we are the solution. So in order to have this new community, this new way of life, it has to be peer facilitated. It cannot be centralized. It has to be decentralized. There can't be a king. There can't be a queen. There has to be you. But you can't show up if you do not know yourself. I, self-law, am master. You have to master yourself. You have to master yourself, because whatever you are now without real self-awareness and real self-development, we're going to take that shit right into the new paradigm, the new reality. And you might as well have stayed back there if you're going to take the very things that held us back into this new paradigm. It's very very telling of the times that we're in. I can't remember how V for Vendetta did in the movies, but I can't remember how it did, but the fact that it's coming out again says that there is awakening that is happening in the people. I've been quoting and talking about that movie for a long time. And I'm telling you, shout out to Ducky. Me and him used to talk about that in the chair. That's what's going on now. It never stopped. But the reality is that now people are here. Now we're here where we have an understanding of seeing it. How can you not see it? Look at what the administration did. 42 million people cut off from being able to eat, y'all. If we don't see this, what else do we need to see? Who's going to stop it? We have to stop it. And the reality is this: a better tomorrow cannot come if we do not learn what it is to really develop ourselves. And self-development comes from truth. You have to seek it in yourself, not just looking out here, because you'll never understand it until you understand it in yourself. See, those of us that have real power, we're not afraid of others being empowered. We're not. We're not afraid of you being. We encourage you to be empowered. We need it. We need it. We need you to be empowered. You being empowered, me being empowered, is power evenly distributed. No one feels like they're not power. It's not about me taking your power from you. I don't need your power. I'm my own entity. It's just like you are. I don't have to take your power. Right? So in this time, in this climate, know that this new paradigm that we so want, and it's happening. It's happening. It has to be peer facilitated. But the cooperative living that comes from peer facilitation is only going to be as good as the quality of its people. And we can't have a quality of a good community with terrible stock, argumentative, no amount of resolve in you. You know, you can't have that. If what's the point? You're gonna have that in this new regime, and you're gonna take that into this new time? No, it's not. It can't work. So if you might as well stay, we might as well stay back there. So anyway, this is where we are going. It has the times of dictating peer facilitation. I, self law, am master. And even in my sovereignty, even in your sovereignty, we can coexist. All right, y'all, this is your girl, Peer Larkin. Peace.